The Backfire exotic SMG sucks. If you think that, I'm not surprised at all. It lacks upfront burst damage. The bleed it applies on reload can kill you, and the 200 stacks on crit hit damage only lasts for 10 seconds. This no bleed backfire build has all the burst damage any build can dream of, with the ability to hold the stacks to achieve 434% crit hit damage until the last man is absolutely dead on his back. And I'm gonna show you how to make it. Hit the like right now and comment monstrosity down below. Let's go.
They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night, cause I can't forget. Oh, back and forth through my mind, behind a cigarette. And the message coming from my eyes says leave it alone. Don't wanna hear about it. Every single word's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it. From the Queen of England to the hounds of hell. If I catch you coming back my way, I'm gonna show it to you. And that ain't what you wanna hear, that's what I'll do. And the feeling coming from my bones says find a home. I'm going to Wichita, far from this opera forevermore. I'm gonna work the straw, make the sweat drip out of every pore. And I'm bleeding, I'm bleeding, I'm bleeding right before the Lord. And all the words are gonna bleed from me, and I will sing no more. And the stains coming from my blood tell me go back home.
Here's the build, and as you can see, it's quite a unique thing I mean, look at this. It's sort of Frankensteinish, but it actually works. Trust me. We're going to go through this piece by piece, and I'm going to show you why. Now, this is all built around the backfire, and it comes with a talent that's called Payment in Kind. Dealing damage to enemies adds a stack of 1% critical hit damage up to 200 stacks. So basically, this gives you 200% crit hit damage, and all you need to do is tag an enemy with a bullet. But those stacks last for 10 seconds. The good news is that you can refresh that 10-second buff just by tagging any enemy at any range with a single bullet. Now, the other downside of this Payment in Kind talent is that on reload, you can basically kill yourself because of that bleed. So the more stacks you have, the more bleed you have, right? So we have to mitigate that. And this is a no bleed build with 434% crit hit damage. 200% of that is coming from Payment in Kind. And then the only thing we have to account for really is that 10-second time limit in which our stacks will fall off. So we just have to make sure we maintain that. And that's what I mean by adjusting your playstyle to this gun, because this gun is really asking you to play fast, be swift, move once you get your stacks, so that way you don't lose them. And with this build, the cool thing about it is that we are able and proven in the gameplay to hold our stacks from the point in which we achieve max 434% crit hit damage all the way through the control point. Control points are difficult because the enemy tends to spread out, and so I'll show you how to get the most out of this gun. So the mask we are running is the Coyote Exotic mask. Again, this is probably best in slot. I did try the Chill Out mask, but of course this one makes more sense because it's giving us 25% critical hit damage for enemies within 0 to 15. So we're basically playing 0 to 25 with this build. This is maxed out with crits everywhere, as you can see. Now the chest piece is Cheska for more crit chance. This got weapon damage, crit damage, hazard protection to help us with that bleed, more crit damage, and I'm running Intimidate. Now, do you have to run Intimidate in Adrenaline Rush? Absolutely not. You could also go Obliterate. Since we are playing a lot at range, it's going to be quite helpful. But this is also nice when enemies are stepping up to you, because we are playing inside a kill box, but we're not really reliant on it, which is nice. Okay, so actually, let me start off by showing you the crit numbers here, okay? And then I'll tell you how it works. So we have 52% crit chance. Now, I lowered this a little bit because of the Coyote mask, and so I'm sort of playing the averages there. But if you want to go all the way to 58% by putting one more crit hit chance mod, totally do that. That's totally okay. For the crit hit damage, I'm running 209% crit damage. That's the base crit damage on the build. So you've heard me say before, one of the reasons why many people don't love the backfire is that it's lacking that upfront burst damage, okay? And so you have to sort of take that into consideration when you're creating a build for it. Otherwise, you're gonna hate the weapon. And that's because it gives you all the crit damage you could possibly need on any build, tank, skill, whatever. 200% crit damage is all you need, and the gun gives that to you. The problem is that you're going to be starting from relatively close to 0 and have to ramp up to that, so your weapon can feel and your build can feel quite weak. So you basically, when you're creating a build for the backfire, there are 2 things you need to take into consideration that are most pressing, or 3, I'll say. 3 things that are most pressing. 1, you can kill yourself in the bleed, so you have to mitigate the bleed. 2, you have to account for the lack of burst damage. You have to create that in your build. 3, you have to account for the fact that 200% crit damage can fall off really easily. So you have to have a build that moves quickly. And that's why Intimidate or Bloodsucker / Adrenaline Rush can really be helpful, because you're going to be on the go and you need that bonus armor to play out of cover, as well as get that initial burst damage from Intimidate. But my other point is that 209% crit hit damage is your base crit damage, okay? And you're going to get 200% on top of that. So this already has the burst damage because of that 209. I mean, 209% crit damage is more crits than probably most of your builds out there, right? So this is already starting with that. It's a very high number. The reality is it's actually 234% because of the Coyote. See that 25% critical hit damage to enemies within 0 and 15? Now we're going to be playing nice and tight. So that gives us 234% crit hit damage. Now, the backfire is giving us 200% on top of that, and that's how we get to 434% total crit hit damage. That's absolutely huge. Highest crit hit damage in the game, plus or minus 1 or 2%. Now, it is possible to get, I think it's something like 2.7% higher, or like 2 to 3% higher, let's just say, if you reconfigure using Sokolov, okay? So if you use 2 pieces Sokolov instead of going Cheska and Grupo, then you can run a second piece of Sokolov. You can get this 3% higher. So I have this at 234. So the highest possible crit hit damage on this build could be 437. This is at 434. We are where we need to be. That's fine. I don't mind missing 3% crit hit damage. I don't know about you. 234% crit hit damage plus Intimidate is all the burst damage that you possibly need. So you're absolutely not relying on Intimidate, but when it kicks in, you feel it and it's nice. So the backpack is Grupo for more crit damage, and I got crit damage everywhere. More hazard protection. Again, this is a no bleed build, and it's a really cool hybrid no bleed build. So we hybridized the build in order to achieve that no bleed status. Instead of using all of our mod slots for bleed resistance, we were able to not run any bleed resistance mods and achieve bleed immunity. So I'm going to show you how we did that. So Adrenaline Rush is really cool, but what I found for this build is that you're better off with, not better off, but it's more advantageous to use Bloodsucker. In some of the gameplay footage, I'm switching to the Bloodsucker, and you can tell because you'll see my bonus armor go really, 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 really high. If you can get basically this backpack with Bloodsucker on it, that's ideal. So the holster is improvised, okay? And I'm doing improvised so that I can make a bunch of mock Grupo. That's the only way you can get your crit hit damage all the way up to where I have it. Now again, there's a Sokolov method. Otherwise, you're gonna need at least 2 pieces of improvised gear. Okay, so we got crit damage, hazard protection, and then max armor. You're not gonna miss your weapon damage. You can roll this thing full on tank, okay? And you will be happy with your results, your damage results. I found this was a nice place. This is what I call a 3-3 split, but it's, I mean, obviously it's 3 offensive, 3 defense, okay? And so this yellow skill tier is defense. So notice we got 3 weapon damage cores, 2 blue cores, and then 2 skill tiers. The knee pads are just like the holster. So notice it's crit damage, has pro, more crit damage, and max armor. The more armor you have, the more bonus armor you have. And the more bonus armor you have, that means the longer you're gonna have Intimidate. Really handy to have bonus armor with the backfire, okay? And also you're playing out of cover without a shield. There's no armor on kill. So that healing drone is actually coming in real handy. Here are the gloves. This was the kicker. So I created this build in a live stream on Twitch. By the way, if you haven't followed me on Twitch or subbed to me on Twitch, I invite you to do that because I am live streaming on Twitch and producing different, unique, and original content over there that I'm not doing here on YouTube. So we evolved this build and tried it in many different ways. So I was teetering between putting armor here, and you can go that way, is perfectly fine, or go with the skill tier. The skill tier, adding that skill tier is what bumped us up on our immunity to make us fully immune to bleed. That skill tier did, okay? So I started with the skill tier on the build, knowing that that was gonna buff our booster hive. So let's look at the booster hive real quick and we'll go back to the gloves. So the booster hive is a 2-tier booster hive. By doing that, we're getting more stim charges and more stim efficiency. But if you look at the description, the booster hive delivers a stimulant that increases your handling, which is really nice because you're reloading faster, but also hazard protection, okay? And so if you look at the buff amount, it's at 35.2% buff amount. So that's 35.2% hazard protection. As you can see on the build, you have 60% hazard protection and 60% bleed resistance. It's the same because we're running no bleed mods. And then 60%, right? You have to be 95% or greater to be immune to the bleed. Okay, we're at 60 there. And so this brought us another 35.2, so that takes us to 95.2% bleed resistant and hazard protected, okay? And that's why we're immune to the bleed. And so that second skill tier is what popped us up over there. By doing that, we are fully immune without running a single bleed resistance mod, no bleed resistance mods. And that's a big deal because that frees up all of our slots to go all the way in on our crit hit damage, taking us to 434% crit hit damage and fully immune to bleed. Once you achieve 200 stacks on your backfire, then you're fully immune to bleed anyways. There is no more bleed. The gun stops giving bleed once you get to 200 stacks. And that's why it's really cool not to use any bleed resistance mods, because you're gonna achieve full immunity or no bleed status anyways once you get your stacks. You want to be on the move with this more than any build, because it's just really frustrating to build up your stacks to 200 and then for those to be timed out. You guys all know what I'm talking about if you've used this gun. It's kind of like, oh, I built my 200 stacks, cool, I'm powerful. Oh, they just dropped off. And so you have to move fast. That's the only thing I'm thinking when I'm running this build, is to move quickly from engagement to engagement. Okay, I'm running Technician for that additional skill tier. Found that a 2 skill tier drone is actually pretty good. So it shows like 32,000 heals per second, which doesn't sound like a lot when you got 1.1 million armor. The bonus armor protects you and sort of is your shield. And so that gives your heals a lot of time to get you back up to a healthy place. So this is basically the build. It's really cool. We're at 434% crit hit damage. And then on this build, we have 60% bleed resistance on paper, but we are fully immune. You have to be at 95% to be fully immune. And the other 35% is coming from the booster hive. Once you get to your full 200 stacks, you no longer have bleed being applied to you. So you're not reliant on that booster hive only to get to your stacks. That's good because that makes this build more efficient this way than if you were running hazard protection, or bleed resistance mods, right? Players Club, be sure you check out the sneak preview live stream on the upcoming classified build. These sneaks will allow you to get a jump on farming before the final build video releases. If you didn't know, classified builds are secret builds made just for Tux's Players Club, true and hardcore Bandido member levels. These are extra builds I make as a thank you for supporting me, the channel, and therefore the entire community, because that's what I do. I build and support the community. If you want to tap into these secret builds while supporting the community, you can get access today by making sure you're at least a true Bandido member level. Click the join button or link below. I am also streaming different Division 2 content on Twitch now, so be sure you follow me over there as well. Never a dull moment with the Tux brand. Link below. Hey, did you hear the news? So Season 8, or also known as Season 2.3, is here on February 15th. Yes, this is a rerun. Yes, I'd rather have new content, and yes, it's better than nothing. I'm excited because I'll be providing daily Season 8 coverage on my YouTube and Twitch channels with on-demand and real-time content for you to experience Season 8 or Season 2 differently and in more exciting ways than ever before. I'm going to show you how to rip through rewards tracks, get the best gear possible along the way, and level up your character faster than ever. I'll be dropping globally bent, tailored builds and challenges. I host the most active cross-platform Division 2 community out there. And Bandidos, we're going to milk every bit of what this game has to offer and then some. If you love this game and never want to see it end, join us now. Here's all the ways. By the way, if you're not on Tux's Discord, you really should be. This is simply a social media app for gamers like you and me, and it's a great way to augment your Division 2 experience. And it's absolutely free, so there's really no excuse. Now more than ever, it's really critical to associate yourself with a positive community. I've dedicated my brand to building up this community and supporting it so that all the people who really love this game can rally together. Whether you want to join a raid, clan up, group up, or just talk builds, this is where all that happens. Tux's Discord is the melting pot for all the communities to come together. Tux's Players Club, the YouTube and Twitch community, the many Tux clans on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. And to everyone who supports the cause, I want to take this moment to appreciate all of you for what you do. Cheers. Hey, this is the build of choice for legendary stronghold speedrunners to spawn kill whole waves of enemies, one tap multiple chungas back to back, and even one tap end bosses. It doesn't matter what content you use it on, it will absolutely destroy. Tuxedo out.